This is NTV.
Well, good morning from wherever it is that you are logging in from. And I say that deliberately because it is Safer Internet Day globally today. And it is more important because more and more people are here, right? And consume information and entertainment increasingly. And this is through the internet. And as access to the internet grows and people get more services online, there are threats that they are exposed to. So this morning on the panel, we have people who are working hard just to make sure that you or someone that you love can be safer online. So let's just get deeper to understand, first of all, what exactly does it mean when we say safer internet, all right? And of course, do you even feel safe, you know, on the internet now, right? Because in this day and age where people get trolled, people get cyberbullied, you know, people get threatened, you know, your nudes will be leaked, you know, and all those things. So really, how safe do you feel? And the information that you share on the internet, how safe do you feel sharing this information? And how much is too much when it comes to sharing? And of course, it can be very tempting for most of us to just post anything and everything online. But really, how safe is the space? That is what we want to delve deeper into the conversation today. So you want to stick around until the end of the conversation. And again, the question that we're asking you today is, how safe do you feel on the internet, right? And of course, there's also a group of people who might not have like too much control, and that is the children. So then how do we also protect our children on the internet? There is so much to cover in this hour. So again, stick around until the end of the conversation at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on Twitter is how you can reach us. But again, give us a call. The numbers will be down on your screen in just a second, even as we dissect the whole internet, you know, space and arena, and of course, how then we can keep this space safer for everyone. So to really help us understand more on the same, on my left is Cecilia Mwende Maundu, who is a digital security expert. You also have a podcast as well, you know, called Digital Dada, right? Yes, and of course, you'll help us really understand how that is all about. And you also help like women, and especially when it comes to, you know, the whole internet space and, you know, how to stay safe. So thank you, first of all, for making time for us this morning.
Thank you
and
for having
we also have Collins Orono Etiang. You've been here before,
Yes,
so it's so good to see you again.
Thank you
You know, Collins is a child's rights advocate and as well as a children's trainer at Mtoto News.
Yes.
Thank you so much really for coming by today.
Thank you.
Perfect people to have this conversation as far as the internet and the World Safer Internet Day is concerned. But can we just first of all start with the basics? Safer internet, what exactly does that look like? And especially in this day and age where people say freedom of speech, freedom of expression, I can say whatever I want, it is my feed. How safe is the internet? What exactly do we mean when we say safer internet?
Well, is there a safer internet? Very good question.
Yeah.
A safer internet is whereby we can express ourselves without the worry of being vandalized or victimized. There's freedom of expression while we respect people's views and opinion. At the same time, a safer internet is where your information is safe. You don't have to keep looking back and wondering, especially somebody like you who is in the public domain. You know, that is a safer internet. That is a safe internet that we are trying to create, and that's the conversation we are trying to have on this day, which is an international day where conversations are inspired on how can we create this safe internet where mothers will not have to worry about their children being online. And if there's anything that COVID-19 has underscored is the importance of the internet. Now we don't have the luxury of saying, I'm not going to be online. Unfortunately, that time is gone. Yes.
And we cannot wish it away. It is here.
Exactly. It is here, and it is here to stay. Yes.
And the more times, you know, again, the more we advance, and this is as far as time and technology and all those things, I want to believe the bigger the threat, because now, you know, we want to share a lot. Sometimes we're like, okay, so where do we cut the boundary, you know?
And especially with social media
and
the gadgets that we have on our hands, we have the world on our hands,
you
know.
Absolutely. We need it. So then how do we make it safe? Because like you said, is there safer internet in this world? What do you make of it?
Yeah, thank you very much, Winnie, for the opportunity again to discuss this subject. I think from my interaction with children, safer internet, just as she has said, there's no safer internet. But now what we do is basically to try to make sure that the environment is a bit conducive for children, as much as there are those challenges that are there. How do we make sure that yes, the internet is unsafe, but children can use these platforms without really being affected emotionally, or being bullied, or being going through these challenges that come with of course we have different people in these platforms. So yes, there's no safety, but we try as much as possible to make sure that at least the people using these platforms are just feel like they're part of the world. They can feel free being online, and they can enjoy their time online. They can learn online. They can participate in different things without really being affected in one way or another.
Or another.
Yeah.
And of course, again, like we said, and now we're seeing a lot of children actually using the internet for, again, so many reasons, learning and all those things.
Yes.
So how do we make it safer for them? So now that we're saying there's no safer internet, will we ever get to that point where,
Well,
where
I
the
mean,
internet is safe?
we need to be prisoners of hope. I'm not
Okay.
sure if it will be
Okay.
there, maybe after. But what I would want to say is people should also not be scared. That's why every day technology, people are creating ways on how we can be safe. It's the same way. You have your house, Winnie. You have your doors locked and everything. And unfortunately, you might find that robbers can get in. It's the same thing with the internet. Everything will be put in place. Doesn't mean that when you're on the internet you have to worry about the same. No, we want to remove that fear from people, because the internet, I mean, it's a blank check. It's just how much you decide to pay yourself. Children right now are creating apps. People are YouTubers right now. So the worry should be there, but you should not be scared to use the internet.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
just know how you can create the safety for yourself. Yes.
Oh, I like that. Take that
Yes.
initial
Yes,
responsibility.
yes.
We'll look at how then can we do that, because again, like you said, there's that temptation to share with the world. The world needs to
Especially
know
social
I am,
media.
I am here. I am driving this
Yes.
car. I am holidaying. In this area. My family looks like this. There's some people who actually giving us like house tours. Of
Yes.
their homes and
Of
all
the-
those
yes,
things.
exactly.
Right. So there's that temptation, but again, I like what you're saying is take that initial responsibility for yourself to make it safe. A safe space for you. But then again, so this day, right? Like we said, this is the 20th edition.
Yes,
here
the
in-
20th,
in,
yes, yes.
in the country.
Yes.
Can we just get to understand then the significance of the same? Because again, I know we started by there's no safer internet. It's like doom and gloom, but it's not all that.
No, it's not. Oh no, it's
all
not
that.
doom and gloom
It's
at
not
all.
doom and gloom. Yeah.
It's-
So what does it mean for you and also for you, Constance, and especially when it comes to the children? Yeah. But let's start with you, Cecilia, on the significance of this day.
Well, it's just a day set aside to inspire conversation about safety online, and it's an international day. One thing about the internet, unfortunately or fortunately, it's, as you said, it's here to stay. There is nothing much we can do about it, and we need to use it to our advantage, and I keep telling people that the internet is about the end user. You are the end user, you as the end user, what are you doing to protect yourself? The way you woke up to come to work today, hackers have woken up to find new ways of hacking people's information, and there's only so much that you can be taught about safety. But when you go online and decide, what, I'm going to take this initiative by myself and know how I can protect my information, I need to have strong passwords, I need not to overshare, and I need to add something about oversharing. Social media has made our life, we feel like we want to preach to the world that the ABCD is happening. Fine, and that's the purpose of social media. It's a social platform, but we also need to know where to draw the line. And I keep saying digital security is more subjective than objective. What do I mean by that? You are in the public domain. Unlike me, you would be more prone to attacks than me, because people don't know much about me. So you as an individual, you as Winnie, what are you doing to protect your information? You know, so it is you to know how you can be able to take an initiative to protect yourself. And that's why we have this day, you know, to inspire this conversation. We want people to sit and say, oh, I actually need to be safe online. What can I do for myself to be safe online? Mothers and fathers who have children, what can we do for our children to make them safe? So this is the day that inspires such conversation.
Absolutely. And then, Collins, when it comes to, again, the children, because like I said, sometimes they do not have that much control. Then they see your phone, right? So they will go
they grab it.
They grab it and do, you know, whatever it is. So then what is the significance of this day, and especially when it comes to our children?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think safer internet is actually everybody's responsibility, and it's not only children. Whether you are a mother, you are a father, you are who, safer internet is making sure that we have a safer internet is, you know, everybody's responsibility and benefits all of us. And if you look at this year's theme, which is you know, connecting, reflecting, and protecting, you realize that you know, it connects, you know, the responsibility that everybody has. Yes, we need to connect. We shouldn't tell people not to connect, because, you know, it's something we cannot avoid. Everybody wants to be on Facebook today. Everybody wants to be on social media. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to, you know, to share the experience. So we cannot stop that. But also we need to reflect. We need to look at, you know, where did we come from? Where are we heading to? What do we need to make this experience better? How do we, you know, how do we make these things, you know, feel, you know, good? Then there is now the protect aspect. How do we make sure that you know, these spaces are safe? How do we make sure that, you know, everybody feels, you know, like once they access the internet, they feel they are safe. They feel, you know, they are in a space where they can express themselves without being bullied, without being, you know, taken through all this trauma that, you know, people go through. Today, if you go to the internet, and you'll wonder whether people have turned to be animals or what is happening. You know, there are people who just kaziao to just waking up in the morning and starting to bully others, which is very, very unfortunate. There are people who don't care whether children are on the internet or not. Their work is just going there, you know, wanarusha maneno, and they forget that, one, their parents, two, they have, you know, children, whether in one way or another. If you don't have your own biological child, then you have your brother's child, or you have nephews or nieces. So people should understand that whether they are affected directly or indirectly, they have a responsibility to play.
You know, there's usually a lot of conversation and debates around children and social media or the internet, you know, in general. And a lot of people be like, first of all, why are children on the internet? on the internet. So I don't know what you have to say to that, because again, like you're saying, and we're all agreeing that it is our responsibility to make sure that we create a safe space for all of us. Doesn't matter whether it's children, adults, you know, and alike. But this whole debate around, first of all, children should not be on the internet. Doesn't that even apply in this day and age?
I had this conversation the other day here, and one thing that I mentioned that, you know, no one should restrict children from accessing internet, and everybody was bashing me, and I'll repeat it. This is not a time for us to run away from real issues. Internet is a real issue. Internet is a modern problem that we should learn to live with it. It's a modern problem and a modern solution that we should learn to live with it. So there are challenges, yes, but we shouldn't run away from it. What we need to do is let us allow our children to use the internet, but let us also monitor them and teach them how to use it responsibly. Because as much as there are dangers, there are also benefits that are coming from it. There are parents who have allowed their children to use the internet, and they're happy today. You know, I'm sure there are parents who are listening to us right now, maybe who are not even paying school fees, because their own children, through the content they are creating, are paying their own school fees and doing, you know.
There's that part.
There are parents who don't even have maybe to sit down with their children, perhaps teach them some things, because with the internet, children can go online and access and you know, search information that can help them in maybe doing their assignments, such kind of things.
Yeah, I think the biggest debate is the content, not what the children are creating themselves, but what they have access to, you know, on the internet. because again, like we said, now there are policies and regulations and all those things, and especially when it comes to what you're posting online. But at the same time, there are some people who just don't care about all those things. So I think the biggest debate is mostly on what they access.
Yes.
When they get on,
Yes,
on the internet.
I think this is why it's important for a parent not to delegate their duty to now maybe a phone or someone else.
All right.
What we are saying is give your child a phone, but your role as a parent
It's to monitor.
is to monitor your child, show them where to go,
Okay.
show them, the moment your child starts spending a lot of time on the internet, you have a responsibility to tell them, this is the time you should stop, this is the time you should, so monitor them, know what they're doing online,
Okay.
and understand who they are talking to.
All
So
right.
such kind of things, I think that is a role of a parent, not
Okay.
so a parent should not say, I don't want my child to be online, because the moment you do that, we have the next 10 or so years, you'll be weeping, because the internet is there to live, is there
Okay. Do you want to respond to the same very quickly?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
want to say I used to be from the school of thought that why should children be online?
Yeah.
Until I met a child online expert and they told me the more you keep them out, you are actually curtailing them, because there are others who've been given the opportunity. So by the time they turn the 18, they can't keep up with the rest of the children. The only thing that parents need to know, unfortunately now they have to keep up,
All right.
is if they download apps, you need to know, go online, search about that app, know what content they are consuming.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, child pornography is the biggest crime on the internet right now. That is so sad, but it is happening, because you see a child, they're watching a game or a cartoon. As a parent, it's a cartoon, but say, oh,
The
remove your
pop-ups.
shirt, they remove their
Yes.
shirt, it's a child, remove,
Yeah.
so you have to know exactly what content they're consuming. And I know we are adding more things to the parents' plate, because they already have things that they need to do, but now that is what they need to do.
My
Yes.
question is usually how long will you monitor them, and especially when it comes to the preteens and then the teenagers, they go to their rooms and lock their doors and they tell you need to ask for permission before you come into. So you really, how can you monitor
But also,
them? Very quickly before we go on a break. Yeah.
Yes, we need to understand, you are a parent.
Yeah.
You are the parent.
Yeah.
She is a child or he's a child.
Yeah.
So when you see some of these things, they start locking themselves in a room, then that should be a signal to you that, something is not right.
It's happening. Yeah.
Then you should take a responsibility, go there and know what is happening.
Okay.
The moment they start, sitting alone and perhaps watching what they don't want you to know,
Yeah.
then there is a problem.
Okay.
So that is where you come in as a parent.
Be the parent.
Be the
in this-
parent
in this
and
scenario.
get to understand
Okay.
why are they sitting alone, why are they locking themselves in a room,
Yeah.
why are they doing things without letting you know.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. How about we take a break? But of course, when we come back, then we'll understand. There's so many cases of online violence happening right now. Majority of the people who are targeted, mostly, unfortunately, are women.
Yes.
And we've seen that just recently. Aziad came on and said it's that time again where I unite Kenyans, right? And this is through the trolls and all the bullying. So really, how do we create this safe space? And what do you do in the event that you find yourself on the receiving end? Because I've seen a lot of people clap back. I've seen a lot of people engage with the bullies. Is that the correct way? Is that not the correct way?
There's a lot of
on how to
conflicting
approach-
information on that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. So when we come back, of course, we will want to address that, and of course, also understand the regulators. Do you feel they're doing enough to make sure that the space is safe for everybody? All that is coming up after the break. Stay with us. This is Your World, but remember, we're asking you, how safe do you feel on the internet? And for the parents who are watching us this morning, your child being on the internet, how do you feel about this thing? We'll come back with more. Stay with us.
Quantum Real Estate brings to you 265 Elma 1 Apartments, the newest and most stylish development in Kasarani. Pay a deposit of 250,000 Kenya shillings and the balance in flexible installments or mortgage finance.
The fact is that you fell in love with the wrong person just like I did.
You know how I feel for you, but you see, I just can't leave with you. I promised Marcelo I would stay with him till the end.
Starting today, you are no longer allowed to get close to me. Because if you try to, I will call the police and you will be arrested. Do you understand? Oh, Brian, if I find out who sent those photos, I'll kill him. I'll kill him! You are the one who killed the soul of our dear doctor! Oh! You corrupted the poor doctor. He was good and kind, and now it's all over!
It had to be you.
Grow your biashara by accessing loans, investment options, convenient banking, network opportunities, and so much more. Njoo tukujenge. Visit any one of our 93 branches countrywide. Family Bank is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
Madam, nauza hapa maskati, nauza ma-t-shirts hapa, unaweza cheki maskati niko nazo hapa.
Nani alikwambia mimi anataka skirt?
Madam, cheki hii
Toka na hiki toko hapa.
Madam, unaona hii skirt ukivaa mbele ya mzee utamchanganyisha.
Mimi hata na mzee.
Madam, bas, ndio kwa maana nakuuzia hii skirt akufanya upate mzee. Angalia.
Mimi mambo ya wazee hapana taka. Mimi anatafutia bana.
Bas, sasa hii basi mpatie mwenye anakutafutia bwana. Madam, hii skirt ndio original.
Mama yangu hayuko hapa, sasa nataka kumfosishia hii kitu.
Kwa tu hii skirt.
Hapana, mimi hapana taka.
Basi fanya hivi.
Madam,
ushashikilia skirt.
Mimi atatupa.
Madam, sio ukishashikilia, nipatie tu pesa.
To get Mitumba Skat by Crazy Kena, dial star 811 star 929 hash. Skiza, Na Nation.
Daring Abroad makes me dare.
It's the only show of its kind in the world. And now, it's bigger.
And even more entertaining and informative than before.
Hapa kunaitwa Kakoe na inatubaba sana.
From London to Jersey Island.
Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo to the scenic features of Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
And many more places abroad and at home.
I watch Daring Abroad. I like the stories which people bring.
Daring Abroad every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. with repeats every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. on NTV.
Why do we do it? Hide, cover up, tone down. Choose boldness. Celebrate the skin you're in and dress with confidence with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion. The triple layered care of deep moisture serum, precious cocoa butter and vitamin E enriches your skin for 48 hours. It's time to show off your best skin. Wear your skin with pride every time with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion.
Claiming your assets is easy. Simply visit UFAA website www.ufaa.go.ke or dial star 361 hash or visit Huduma Center near you.
All right, welcome back. Of course, the conversation as usual continues offline, but thank you so much for staying with us. This is Your World, and of course, today it's all about the Safer Internet Day, where of course the world again commemorates the day. And of course, it's very important for all of us, first of all, to understand what exactly does safer internet look like, and do you feel safe on the internet, and what is it that we can do to make the space a little bit safer. And I like what you said when we started the show, that it is our individual responsibility. It's not the internet's responsibility to make sure that you're safe. No, it is our responsibility to make sure that we create that safe space for ourselves. So, Cecilia, very quickly, can we go to that question of online violence? We've seen that a lot right now, and I'm sure maybe someone is watching us and thinking, okay, what exactly does online violence mean? And it's not that serious. It's just on the internet and then in Asia Duapo, right? What exactly qualifies as online violence?
Online violence is any violence that takes place on the digital platform, you know, could be abuses, you know, using maybe WhatsApp, or somebody trolls you on Twitter or on Facebook. All that is online violence. Any violence that takes place behind the digital platform. And there is a false narrative that it is not violence. And I want to dispute that, because just because it takes place behind the keyboard does not make it any less harmful. And the majority of the victims of online violence are women journalists, women politicians, basically women with voices online. And one of the greatest contributor to this is patriarchy. And a patriarchal society is a violent society. And another thing about when it comes to online violence is it is so invisible in mainstream media, because the society, as I said, is yet to accept. And that's one of the reasons why I started my podcast, Digital Dada Podcast, because I wanted to bring women who've gone through it, you know, to tell their story so that people can know behind all those abuses, there's someone, a real person, somebody who has a family. And unfortunately, and I'm not saying men don't go through online violence, they actually do. We see it all the time. But with women, it becomes gendered and sexist. It moves from what you've said, Winnie, to how you look or how your family looks, you know, and it has a lot of mental issues which we don't know about. And platforms have done very little to protect people, and that's why we keep talking about it, because we want to advocate for safety. And one thing we keep saying is, if women are not safe, then the digital gender divide will keep widening day in, day out, you know. Yes,
absolutely. And we've seen that recently, like I said, you know, we had what, like Aziad and so many other people who have been, you know, bullied online, that sometimes have to leave the space for a while, and others leave the space completely because of the impact that it has, you know, on them. And of course, we'll talk about that, you know, very shortly. But Collins as well, online violence on children, what exactly does that look like?
Yeah, for children, I think, you know, it's a bit different, because the way it's done usually it's different from a bit from how adults, you know, it happens with adults. But sometimes, you know, it happens, you know, between children and children, where, you know, a child, you know, maybe they are interacting on WhatsApp or on a digital platform, then maybe one child throws a word and the other one, you know, gets offended or something like that. So you find that, you know, the other one that was maybe offended decides maybe to rant, you know, or to respond, or they decide to withdraw or drop from that platform. So that what happens is, I've seen, you know, we have a platform for children at Mtoto News, where children, you know, interact, and you know, sometimes you just follow the conversations, and you realize, wow. There are those that, you know, really, even in our space, there are those who understand these things, and sometimes there are those who don't really take note of it. And what we do most of the time is, you know, the moment we see some conversations are not right, we tell them, you know, that's not right, and take this way or this way. Please don't do that to your colleague, don't do that to your friend. So, but one of the worst violence that actually is happening is the online child sexual exploitation that is really risen over the recent, you know, years, and that is very, very alarming. There's a report that was released recently that ranked Kenya at around number 23 or number 2 in Africa. In terms of dealing with cases of OXEA, online child sexual exploitation, and other children's rights issues. And I think we, as a country, we are doing somehow well, but not well. If you compare Kenya with our peers, we are doing somehow well, like, you know, in Africa, because Kenya was behind South Africa. But if you compare Kenya and you know, globally, we realize, you know, we have a lot much more to do. So online violence happens in different spaces. For children, even, you know, on TikTok, there is a lot that happens there. And you know, most of the time, you know, for us adults, we may not, you may see a message and you think maybe it doesn't really affect a child. Anything you say online, most of the time, the things we say online as adults might really affect children, because they come back to parents and start asking, by the way, mommy or daddy, I saw this on TikTok, you know, what does that mean?
That's true.
So when a child comes to you and asks you, what does that mean? You wonder, okay, how do you respond? Or they saw a video or something, a video of a naked person, you know, dancing on TikTok, and they come and ask you. So if you don't respond to such questions, they feel like, you know, that is just normal. So you know, or then that builds up their mind pole, and you know, with time, with time, you find such a child now starting doing that, or even violating other children because they have seen this as a normal thing. That's a good thing with children. If children see something that has been considered normal, that is, or something that is seen as normal, they pick it slowly. Then they replicate it, and when they replicate it, they do it better than you do.
That's true.
So we need really to be careful with these spaces where children are, and making sure that, you know, whatever you say, how will a child look at it? And one thing that, you know, our children mostly tell us is, you know, help us, you know, help us make children feel safe online.
That's true.
That's what they tell us, because, you know, we've taught them, you know, the dangers that come with the digital space, and how, you know, they should avoid it, and the step that they should take whenever they come across any form of violence online. So children want a safer internet because they know that is the future.
That's true.
No child will tell you, I want to get out of this. They'll only ask you to get out, they want to get out of that space if they are violators and they feel like, you know, this is too much for me. Yeah,
absolutely. So Cecilia, the question might be, so what do you do when you find yourself bullied or trolled, or, you know, whatever forms of violence online? What do you do?
Well, there's a lot of conflicting information when it comes to how you handle your online bullying. And it's unfortunate, like the victim is the first responder, you know, they have to block, you know, all that. But one of the things I always say is, know how you handle it is what might escalate or not escalate it. You know, there are people who believe you say something nasty about me, I'm going to do the same, you know. But some of these bullies, they just want to get your attention. So immediately you throw in a word, they're like, oh, got you. Now let's do this. So sometimes I always advise people, take time, you know, before you even decide to respond, you know. And I always say, create a community around you. You don't actually have to respond. Somebody else can respond for you.
But there's some that are very misleading, that sometimes keeping quiet is like, yeah, you actually prove the point that this and this and this is what
is true.
Exactly.
And that's the thing about online violence, is marred by disinformation. You know, you find somebody has said something so funny, you know, something so out of, you know, you are like, of me?
Sit down and wonder.
Like, of me? You know, you start wondering,
person.
could I have done it and without my knowledge? Yes. So how you respond is how the situation goes. And there's no one size fits all, you know. So you might decide to keep quiet and people say, we knew it is the truth. You might respond to someone say, you're coming to the defense. So meaning is the truth.
How many people can you block?
Yes, how many people can you block? And you see someone like you in the public domain, your social media is part of your work. Sometimes you're not there because you want to, but it's your work. Journalism has moved online. You know, our audience are no longer passive, they're active. A tweet, they've gotten your attention. So how you handle it is how the situation goes. I remember I went for a certain meeting and Martha Karua said, I don't want to give this person so much prominence because they're trying to get attention from my followers. And the funny thing is, people are so funny. You might respond back. People, that person had 100 followers. They have 1,000 just because they've gotten attention. So you're like, people, you know, the hate online is, the dynamics are very weird. So anyway, how you handle the situation. And I always say, do it how you feel is right. If you feel like you need to block this person, block. You know, that's why these apps have taken this initiative to create all these features. Block them. You know, if you feel like you want to go to their inbox and ask them a question, you can actually do that, because there are people who actually engage with them on their inbox. You know, it depends on how you want to handle, but just know the way you handle it can escalate the issue. Yes,
and that can be very scary, because then again, so you're like, so what do I do? Do I keep quiet? Do I respond? Do I block? Do I report? And sometimes you report, nothing is done. You know, so
in fact, the reporting part is you report, and then after some time, like, we didn't see anything wrong with this comment. But I always tell people, these social media platforms are in business. You know, they're not there to
protect you.
To protect you. No, they're in business. You know, they're there to make money. So it's the list of them. Because now is when they are being coerced by civil society, by different governments to actually protect their users and encourage healthy conversation online. That's when they're trying to do something small to just, maybe sometimes I feel like it's closing our eyes. So it is you to take the initiative to be able to protect yourself. And I always keep saying, like, it has health issues. When you talk to the likes of Aziad, they can tell you it puts them down at some point.
I mean, yeah,
health hurts at all times. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely. All right, you want to chime in?
Maybe just to comment on the adults. You know, sometimes using this, you understand Kenyans are one of the worst bullies that we
online,
have. And I always tell people, imagine that person is your wife, the person you're bullying. That is your wife. Imagine that is your sister. Imagine that is your, as in your closest person. How will you feel about it? So men, wanaume mnatuangusha sana. We
and
are
even
blamed.
the men who get bullied as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kuna wanaume ndio tunakuwa blamed majorly for, you know, bullying and, you know, just throwing words on our sisters and our daughters and all that. Please, it's our responsibility to protect these women. If we don't protect them, then we are raising a generation where people are going to disrespect men, you know, as a people. Sometimes, you know, it just feels nice when you protect someone from, you know, from like something like, you know, digital abuse and all that. It feels nice for you as a man because, you know, you're trying to make that space better for them. But if you make that space worse for them, because the way we are wired as men is different from how women are wired. Even so there is also that, of course, we as men also yes, experience that, but the levels are a bit different, and how we respond to it is a bit different. You know, for men mostly, for women mostly is you know, sexist something. You know, when a conversation comes, you know, it turns and goes to the, you know, their sexuality, and, you know, totally different from what men face. So we have a responsibility as men to protect women and make sure that these spaces are, you know, are safe for all of us, not just children, not just women, not just fathers, but everybody, because we coexist. You know, you cannot be here without me, Winnie. She can't be there without, you know, other people outside there. So we must learn to live with each other, you know, understanding that we all need each other. And
it's interesting that you mentioned, you know, Kenyans and the levels and that people can go. And it's true, and even in other parts of the world as well, we've seen worse, right? When it comes to online bullying. But again, let's all take that initial responsibility. A lot of the times people would ask, so is it always the perpetrator's fault? Or the bully? And this is a question when it comes to sharing and oversharing and what exactly you're sharing online. And especially for those people who are, like you said, in the public, a lot of people said, you put yourself there, so these are just the consequences of the fact that you chose this kind of life. So you cannot fault us for bullying you. It sounds so wrong, but that is the mentality that a lot of people have, that this is the life that you chose, so everything else that comes with it, you have to embrace it. So is it?
Well, there is a thin line between oversharing. You know,
what is exactly oversharing? Because like you said, there's some people who use it for business. For
Exactly.
example, like content creators,
Yes,
right?
content creators,
They use it for
influencers,
business.
yes.
Yeah, and all those things.
So you see, when you are an influencer, I always feel like the public is sucking everything out of you. They want to know about your children, they want to know about your husband, they want to know about your mother. So, but you know, you also need to know where to draw the line. Because as you said, when something happens to you, like, that person was oversharing. So it's like they're trying to say, they're trying to say it is your fault. I always believe how you put your information there really matters. For example, I always say, if it is mothers and fathers, don't put where your children go to school. It's not necessary, because those are the first target when people want to target you. Even don't put your location. And I always say, don't post in real time. Because the minute you say I'm okay, people know I'm at NTV.
Now they can see you.
Now they can see me because it's live. But maybe I'm in Miami. I don't have to post when I'm in Miami. I can post when I'm back. But we have cultivated this culture. Unless we check in online, we can't check in into the no. So know where to draw the line, because it's about your safety. And people are funny out there, you know, and they believe everything you see on social media is real. Believe you me, no. How many people have you seen in social media crying? Does it mean every time people are happy? No. Oh my goodness, that is the farthest thing from the truth. You know, but people want to post the best moments of their lives. So you also have to be very critical when you're consuming that content, and it would not be safe when we don't talk about digital detox. We've become slaves to this, to the internet. No,
tell me about it.
We need to know where to draw the line. You decide there is a day you're taking off the internet and decide today I will not go online. You know, like if it is that desperate, somebody will give me a call, and you stay off, because we are so addicted to these gadgets. Our productivity levels have gone so down because, and we think everything. So you see your friend doing this, like, oh, they're doing so well. No, please, not everything you see online is the truth. And also, we can be what we call second perpetrators of online violence. What do I mean? Somebody sends me a funny meme of someone. I say, oh, I saw this online. And then the next thing I do, I forward that meme to a group of 256 people. And then when somebody said, no, me, I just forwarded to the group, I didn't comment. Already yes. So it should always stop with you. And as he said, we all have a responsibility.
And there's also something that he said, which I think is very powerful, is if you see a comment trolling someone, write something positive about that person, right? And so that we shift the narrative, because again, like we said, some of those things are just utterly false, that you wonder, is there someone else?
Yes, you know.
Control?
And also, don't believe everything you see on the internet, because as you said, somebody might say something so wrong which is false, and then you're so scared, like, of people have believed this. No.
Or if you say something positive about it, they will now troll you.
But also, Winnie, I think the other thing is what I tell people. It's not a must for you to comment on other people's posts. If you see something, Winnie, I've posted, I'm on NTV, and you want to troll me, it's not a must for you to troll me. Yes, the truth is I'm on NTV. The truth is I'm in Mombasa. I'm having fun. So I've posted there because I want to to feel good, for example. So it's not a must for you to respond and tell me.
A lot of people say it's for I'm keeping memories.
Yes, I'm keeping memories. Yes. So it's not a must for you to respond. If you must respond, then respond positively. If you feel like you cannot respond positively, bana, kana comments zako, just relax. Because there is a life out here, bana. We must live.
And a lot of people have actually lost their lives to suicide, and this is from online violence. So it really is serious. So let's just try.
So for example, there are two videos that have been circulating online for the last 3 or so weeks. There's a video of a girl that was being battered. There was another video of was it a child that was doing something, or no, the video of the children in Kisii. Was it in Kisii? So those videos, actually the groups that I'm in, I'm in a number of child protection groups. Unfortunately, the people who are in those groups, child protection groups, were forwarding such videos.
Oh no.
So it's also on us.
Was it to raise awareness that this is happening?
Imagine,
because again, there's that part, right?
Yes, there's the part of raising awareness, but there is oversharing. Once you see a child in distress, a child is being battered, how much should you how many times should you forward that video or share it? How much is too much in terms of sharing? Because the same group, once one person shares that video now, but after like 20 minutes another person shares the same video. After like another 20 minutes another one shares the same video. So how
we can attest to the fact that there's some instances where this oversharing, quote unquote, has also prompted action.
It's true, right? Very true.
But then again, there are also and there also and justice has been served. But there are also other instances where it has caused more harm than good. So I think it depends with the situation.
Yes,
right?
It depends with the situation. But once you see a video, hata kuna wenye walikuwa na share bado after government taking action. So such cases, you're not really helping that person.
That's true.
You're causing more harm
to them. To them. Okay, we literally have 5 minutes to go.
Wow.
I know, time flies. But let's talk about regulation in the country. And of course, we know like cyberbullying already is a crime in itself. We're talking about this, I think yesterday we were asking ourselves, so have we seen any prosecutions made from online violence? And if so, what are some of the things that we need to put more emphasis and add more voice to the same? But also there are regulators, for example, the Communications Authority of Kenya, right? Do you feel they are doing enough? I know you really wanted to have a conversation with them, but so let's just start with you and then we'll go to Cecilia in terms of regulation.
First of all, I think I always say Kenya, we have somehow enough laws or not. We are still in that process. But the problem is, I'll start with this. For example, we have the National Plan of Action on ending child online sexual violence, OXEA, that was launched last year. You know, the problem we have is most of the time such plans are launched, they're unveiled, but the implementation gets zero.
A very big issue.
Yes, you find that, you know, a plan is, we have a very good launching, and after that, you know, it disappears. We don't understand really what is happening. But and also you find that such plans are not really followed with, you know, some kind of budgeting from Parliament and all that. So you release a plan, you have a plan, but you don't know what to do next. So we need to be deliberate on especially implementation and making sure that these things, you know, happen. Because if you come up with a plan and you don't do a budget for it, or you don't allocate finances on it, then what are you doing? Then after 2 or 3 more years, you do another plan. You don't put a budget. So we are going back to where we started. We understand this is a challenge that is ongoing. You know, internet, especially the internet users increased from 2020 during COVID. So it's a challenge that we are still working on it, and it's a work in progress. But we need to make sure that we also update our laws, making sure that, you know, they are in line with what the challenges that we are facing currently. Like, you know, the only law that we have currently, I think, is the Cybercrime Act that is active. But also, how active is it in terms of, you know, prosecuting these people?
And all those things,
like, for example, cyberbullying, the cyberbullying that is happening online, on Twitter and all that. We rarely see any form of, you know, prosecutions happening. You know, if they're happening, then it has to be, you know, senior people. Maybe a senior person may be involved in a case. But for them, you know, for the rest of us, wale wananchi wa kawaida, if you are bullied, there are very high chances that if you report it, nothing can really happen. Yes.
Okay, I see that. A lot of the times people say, as you know, as Kenyans, we move on very quickly. We will bully you today, and then 2 days later, we may move on, go to Cecilia. But really, like what you say, we need to see prosecutions. All right, Cecilia, Communications Authority, are they doing enough? What are some of the gaps that you know, you might want to see covered?
Okay, I believe they're trying. They're trying, because especially when it comes to the issue of child exploitation online, you know, they have a game. They have a game. It's called Cyber Soldiers. You know, the other day I was going through it, and I was very impressed, because they're also creating content that children can be able to consume. When it comes to our law, we have to know that laws are yet to catch up with technology in different parts of the world. Kenya is not unique, and as you said, Kenya is actually trying. But when you look at some of the laws, for example, the Computer Misuse Act, Section 27, which talks about cyber harassment, the law is quite vague, I must say. It doesn't define what is cyber harassment. You know, the context of it, and when you look at it, it is actually infringing on freedom of expression. You know, but I believe there's so much that can be done. But we also have to ask ourselves, when it comes to laws and policies, we have to ask ourselves a very uncomfortable question: why don't they work? You know, it's because people don't understand them. You know, but I always say, document any kind of abuse. It is that documentation evidence that will push policymakers into be able to create laws that work for us. So I always say, when you go through cyberbullying, please document, take a screenshot. You know, 5 years from now, it could work for you, you know, and unless we have evidence, you know, and evidence informs the research, you know, because we don't want to be talking about the same thing 5 years from now. Yes.
So even next year, really, we need to see, right? We need to see a totally different conversation. All right, so then let's take your parting shot as far as this day. Like we say, 5 years from now, we don't want to speak the same conversation. So what are some of these areas that we need to, you know, tap into, like, as soon as now, right? This is as far as us taking that individual responsibility.
Yeah. One, I think what we need to do is educate our publics on the importance of, you know, cybersecurity. For example, we have, you know, children. For example, children. We as Mtoto News, we do that. We train children to be responsible online, to understand the risks that come with the digital space. And we actually even we are planning for a summit for children to tell us what are the issues that, you know, affect them, and, you know, discussions around internet safety is among them. It's coming in April. So it's that is one of the discussions that we're going to have on what do children think about online safety and all that. The other thing that needs to be done is, we need to create awareness. The government should actually empower teachers and key stakeholders that handle children to understand the digital space and to know how to talk to children about these things. Because the moment we know our teachers are maybe illiterate in terms of the digital space, it becomes very difficult because they are the ones who spend most of the time with children. If they don't understand cyber security issues and online safety, then that is where the challenge will come from. Then we also have caregivers at home, parents. We all need to understand. She has mentioned about the Communications Authority having all these interesting, games and all that. We need these things out there. We need them out here. Teach people. Go to barazas, go to churches, go to schools, empower children, empower the clergy and other people that have power to understand and teach their congregations and their people about the internet, because that is important. We cannot run away from it. Yes,
absolutely. I hear you. All right, Cecilia.
We need more conversations like this, especially on mainstream media, and this is a first of the many. I'm hoping so. So kudos to NTV. We need to talk about it because, as we said, cyber violence, people are yet to accept that it is violence. And as again I said, that's why my colleague and I, Esther Pifuli, started the Digital Dada podcast to bring this conversation. But I would also not do justice if I don't say this. The most connected generation is the loneliest. Let's know where to draw the line, people. Like we are losing the human connection, which you cannot equate it to anything. Let's know when to say it's not time. I'm switching off the internet. I'm getting into other things. So let's also preach that. And I believe, like Mtoto News, also parents need to know when to stop and say it's no longer screen time. Yes, because the internet can actually take over your lives without you knowing it.
Yes, and we were having this conversation. It's just so let's learn to self-regulate first of all, before we even talk about the regulators and what they're doing, just to make sure that the internet is a safe space for all of us. Right? It begins with all of us. So asanteni sana for coming by.
Thank you for having us.
This is a conversation. 1 hour is not enough. We did like 3 hours of such conversations. But thank you so much, Cecilia Mwende Maundu, digital security expert, as well as Collins. And podcaster, Digital Dada podcast, as well as Collins Orondo, a young child rights advocate, as well as the children's trainer at Mtoto News. Asanteni sana. Such a thoughtful conversation this morning, and of course we also hope that this continues online on the internet, so that we raise our voices really as far as creating a safer space as far as the internet is concerned. So I know now we know better. All right, so let's take action and make the internet a safer space for all of us. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Have yourselves a lovely day ahead. I'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place, right here on Your World. But until then, stay safe and take responsibility. Goodbye.